Unfortunately, Jerry's case is one of many. According to the Innocence Project, since 1989, there have been 367 exonerations that have taken place. Keep in mind that these exonerations can take years to achieve, so this number is quite high. On average, innocent people served 14 years in jail, 21 of the people served time on death row, and 41 pled guilty to crimes that they did not commit. And here's another shocking case. 19-year-old Juan Rivera confessed to raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl, Holly Staker, in 1992. His interrogation lasted 4 days before he confessed. 19 years later, he was exonerated by DNA evidence, which was also tied to at least one other murder while he was in prison. So, why exactly does this technique provide false confessions? Let's take a look at the psychology behind it. One study conducted in 2009 aimed to look at police officers' sensitivity to the maturity level of their suspects during criminal interrogations. The two groups studied were either Reid-trained police officers or non-Reid-trained police officers, and they completed a survey about their perceptions and practices during interrogation with children, adolescents, or adults. 1,828 police officers were studied, and 514 of them were trained using the Reid Technique. The results indicated that compared to the non-Reid-trained police, the Reid-trained police demonstrated less sensitivity to the maturity of adolescents and children in terms of their perceptions of their suspects' competencies during the interrogation and the use of psychologically coercive questioning techniques. This implies that there are some retrained police officers who may use psychologically coercive behavior when questioning children and adolescents. Now, looking at the study itself, we can see that there was no random assignment. It's not a true experiment, so we cannot evaluate cause and effect. It was a survey, so we do have to consider that there might have been demand characteristics in which the police officer participants answered in ways that they thought that the experimenter might have wanted. However, it does have a fairly large sample size, so this might be a good look at the Reid technique and how the training might impact children or adolescents. A 1999 study then looked at the effects of Reid technique training on judgments of truth and deception in interrogations. This study was completed in 2 phases. First, 16 male college students were randomly assigned to either commit crimes or not. The controlled crime was vandalism, shoplifting, breaking and entering, or computer hacking. All of these were done with the consent of either the local shops or university. No actual crimes were committed. The students were then interviewed using the Reid technique, but told to affirm their innocence. These interviews were then recorded and were used in the second stage of the experiment. So 40 psychology students from another university were then randomly assigned to either learn the Reid technique or not. They were shown video lessons of it, and then they looked at the denials of guilt that were shown in videotapes from the 16 male college students in the first half of the study, and they were asked to assess whether these denials of guilt were true or not. The study showed that all of the groups, retrained and not, had about the same accuracy as chance, but the retrained groups did have more confidence in their ability to sort out who was being deceptive and who was being truthful. So this study seems to show that it could be even counterintuitive to use the Reid technique because this can only increase your confirmation bias with no actual increase in the ability to detect deception or truthfulness. So while this study had a particularly small sample size with only 40 college students actually being randomly assigned to learn the Reid technique or not and then use it, it is important to note that this study was fairly in-depth and really did look at the Reid technique and the training and the confessions in a controlled way so that the results wouldn't be tainted by a lot of external sources. And also the authors of the study do note that they think that this is generalizable to the population just because of how many steps and how detail-oriented they were in doing this study.